and today we're diving into one of those English expressions that pops up all the time, especially if you want to sound natural like a native speaker. We're talking about to kill two birds with one stone. What does it really mean? Where does it come from? And why is it so useful in everyday life? So let's get right into it. Imagine you've got two problems, or maybe two things you want to accomplish. Instead of tackling each one separately, you find a clever way to deal with both in one go. In English, people call that killing two birds with one stone. It sounds a bit funny and maybe a little dramatic, but what it actually means is being efficient, solving two tasks with just one action or effort. This is interesting because if you've grown up hearing a different native language, you might have your own version of this expression, just with different animals or objects. For example, in Brazilian Portuguese, people say matar dois coelhos com uma cajadada só, which literally means to kill two rabbits with one stroke of a stick. So the idea is the same, two results, one action. Only the animals and tools change depending on the culture. Expressions like these show just how much culture and everyday life shape language. In English, the phrase has been around for centuries. Back in the old days, people actually hunted small game or birds by throwing stones, especially before guns became common. So the image of a skilled hunter managing to hit not one but two birds at the same time really stuck as a way to describe cleverness or good luck. Over time, it turned into a phrase for talking about smart ways to solve problems. Nowadays, you'll hear to kill two birds with one stone everywhere. People use it at work, in school, at home, whenever they get more than one thing done with a single effort. For instance, your friend might say, "Let's go for a walk and talk about the project. We'll kill two birds with one stone." Or maybe you're watching a show in English to relax and learn the language at the same time. Again, that's killing two birds with one stone. What stands out to me about idioms like this is how they help you sound way more natural when speaking English. It's one thing to know all the grammar and vocabulary, but the real magic happens when you can slip in these little cultural phrases. Native speakers will immediately recognize someone who says to kill two birds with one stone at the right time, and it creates a connection, almost like a secret handshake. But here's a word of advice. Idioms rarely translate word for word. If you tried to say to kill two rabbits with one stick in English, people wouldn't really get it. In the same way, some idioms from English sound really strange if you translate them into another language without explaining. This is why it's so important, when you're learning a new language, to pick up not just vocabulary but also the real phrases and cultural jokes that make it come alive. I remember hearing for the first time how many languages have their own unique way of talking about this idea. Some cultures mention mosquitoes or lions, others have different tools or animals, but in the end, it's all about efficiency. It's almost like every society found a story or image to celebrate being clever and getting more done with less effort. Let's think about it. Why do expressions like this last for so long? Probably because they turn lessons about life into vivid pictures in your head. You can imagine the two birds, one stone flying through the air, and it becomes almost impossible to forget. That's a great tip for anyone learning English or any other language. Find these phrases, figure out what they really mean, and you'll remember them so much better. Another thing that makes to kill two birds with one stone so useful is how flexible it is. Whether you're talking about big projects at work or small everyday wins, like organizing your closet while listening to a podcast, it fits perfectly. It's a small phrase, but it packs a punch, whatever the situation. There's also something funny about how some people react to this saying. Occasionally, folks who love animals might say it sounds a little violent. Sometimes you'll even hear people try to change the expression, jokingly or not, into things like to feed two birds with one scone. That's rare, but it shows how language keeps evolving as people react to old traditions. What really makes me appreciate idioms like this is their power to connect people and cultures. You can travel almost anywhere in the world, and you'll find folks have their own way of describing the same idea. Knowing the right saying in English helps open doors, not just in conversation, but in understanding jokes, stories, and a whole new side of the culture. So, the next time you want to talk about solving two things at once, whether you're making plans, studying, or just joking with friends, try using to kill two birds with one stone. It's a simple, classic part of English, and who knows, the more you use it, the easier it might become to spot these little gems of language everywhere. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed discovering the story behind to kill two birds with one stone, and maybe you'll start noticing it in books, shows, or conversations from now on. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time with more language and culture stories.